So I think music in areas specifically like that, where there are clear patterns, that can be interpreted, AI will. It'll be hard to distinguish between AI created content and authentic content, which is scary. Like the Midjourney did this with art, in my opinion. I think when it came to art, you used to see these things that Midjourney makes by these brilliant artists. These people that were just genuinely amazing at what they do. And what Midjourney did is train an AI on all of those things. And now, when I can create this artwork that is just astounding, it renders me speechless often.
Yeah.
Like your ability to describe anything you want and then it come out in the form of whatever type of visual you want is already there. So I get the ethical conversation too around that. Have you heard of that? The whole ethical conversation behind that?
Behind Midjourney specifically?
Yeah, and like AI specifically, Stable Diffusion AIs and the image generation stuff.
I haven't.
So Midjourney is just one of the companies. There's this other company I forget all their names. But
define ethical.
Artists sued multiple of these companies because the images that this AI was trained on was artist work.
Yeah.
So it's this big like debate. Is this
mine?
Copyright? Is this trademark? Is this a legal thing that's happening that's wrong?
Yeah.
Right. And I've thought about it for a while because I do understand this is your livelihood.
Absolutely.
Right? Like your whole life has been about drawing, painting, taking photos, creating in that specific way. And now you like this, I don't need to commission anybody. I don't need to pay an artist.
No.
I get why that is a problem for people.
Indeed.
And they're like, we should get paid for this. The problem with it, like on YouTube's copyright policy, for example, is if I put something out on the internet, right, and then you download it to your computer and you make a small change, like adding commentary over a video that already exists.
Like people make
all the time. Reaction videos.
Absolutely.
Now I'm good. That's no longer copyrighted.
Wow.
That's my content. I can get paid on that content.
I was not aware that that's how that works. Because it's not how that works in music. You can't sample something without clearance. Or like I just saw a story the other day. You remember Diddy had "I'll Be Missing You" after Biggie passed back in the 90s. He paid Sting $8,000, I think either a day or a month, because he did not get clearance for that sample. And it was just like, hey, forgiveness or permission. And he just went out and released it. But you can't, so that's where
and if there are any YouTube nerds in the comments, correct us if we're wrong on the copyright policy. We want to know, but that's my understanding of the copyright policy on YouTube.
I would imagine, I understand that too, but I would imagine that if somebody creates a podcast like, they're wrong, this is horrible, they shouldn't do, and they're stopping the frame every 2 seconds after we speak, I feel like we should get a part of that. Because it's content on top of content.
See, you can, to my understanding, abuse it and report people. But it all, when it goes to court, it's under fair use.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's, I think, the legal term
I've heard that term
used.
before.
So if you put it out there and I augment it, it's fair use. I think that also applies with a lot of artwork too, like logos, things like that. If I change it, then it's not the same logo. And so it's this very philosophical debate, like, where do ideas come from?
That's the thing, and it's funny because I wore the pair of sneakers here, where Nike's in that large debate off the same thing, where a lot of people were like rebranding and recreating their Dunks and Air Forces and just slapping their own logo on them. And sometimes they weren't even like a different logo, like they were just like additions to the Nike check. And they sat on it for years and waited, and I think because the recession hit, and they're like, okay, it's time to recoup some bread. And they went and sued the pants off of everybody. But now the battle that they're having is, this is my content, this is my creation. I understand it may have structural similarities to yours, but it was inspiration. It's not yours. So is that an argument that a company like Midjourney or one of these stable diffusion type companies or use cases come with? No, we use you as inspiration. We didn't necessarily, we're not building your products.
Oh, that's definitely central to their argument. Their thing is, yeah, we trained on your images, just like I would look at an image and be inspired to work. A lot of artists work from reference.
That's what I'm saying.
Like they'll have a reference image up and they'll be drawing. And they're saying, yeah, we fed this AI a bunch of images and now the AI is using that as inspiration to create new things.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if that, yeah, it's, as you can see, this is a very big ethical thing.
I just swung to both sides of this argument while we were having this discussion because I'm like, if I spent my childhood learning how to play the guitar, listening to Jimi Hendrix, his estate should have no bounds on the money I make past that point. I'm not playing. I might use a similar style. I might pattern how I play after how he played, but it doesn't mean that he's entitled or his estate's entitled to anything moving forward. I think I kind of feel the same way about that from a fair use perspective with Midjourney.
Yeah, the music game is kind of different from my understanding. It's, I don't know. I honestly don't have a good answer for it, and
Yeah.
I've said this before. I don't. I think AI will end up being regulated similar to healthcare because of how impactful it'll be, and I'm not even saying I want it to be.
Yeah.
I really have no opinions on if it should be or not. I think that's just going to be a consequence of AI being as powerful as it is and disrupting things the way that it is.
Makes sense.
As far as art, I think that's a great example of a current thing that's happened that's been disrupted. And now you have to sit there and think, hey, what everybody else had to think. It's not that the skills you've developed are useless. It's that they're not useful in the same way they once were. And people get used to doing things a certain way. I'm used to making my money this specific way. And I make my money by people commissioning me for art.
Yeah.
Well, now you might have to learn a couple additional skills that will be
Absolutely.
amplified by your ability to do that. And I don't necessarily think that's terrible. I think
No.
that that's just part of life. I know there's a balance. I know I don't have good answers. I would love to see a model, because I think AI will also make a ridiculous amount of money. If there is enough money, which I assume there will be, I would love to see a Spotify model for artists that voluntarily feed their artwork to AI, or that have fed their artwork to AI to get royalties, like little small chunks of whatever based on, this prompt triggered inspiration from your whatever.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I agree.
I don't know if that actually would tangibly work economically, but I think it could be cool.